All right, so part 5, depreciation. So I need to go back to the car I picked in section 1A. So in 1A, I picked a Honda Civic 2021. And it had, the car that I liked had 13,000 miles on it. Okay. All right, now that I remember what car I'm looking at, I'm going to open up this website. And so I picked a Honda, the car I just looked at, Honda Civic. So it's 2021, so it's going to be at least 5 years old. And the price that they gave me was $22,000. So I'm going to $22,900. These details do not matter. You can put whatever you want here. It's not going to change anything. You can put 5 years, 3 years, how long you think you're going to own it. I'm definitely going to own my car for a long time. And so the miles, the annual miles, I drive about 8,000 miles a year. It's just not, but these don't matter. I'm going to calculate. Okay. I'm going to close this. So this is the graph I'm going to use. So I'm starting at 100%. So I'm going to go to my graph, and I'm going to put a dot at 100%. So I'm going to label my graph. This is percent. And down here, these are the years. So I'm going to make sure I'm labeling my axes. And so I'm starting at 0 years, 100%. Okay? And so I'll use it says used an empty circle for each plot. So make sure, so I'm going to label this. I promise it'll make sense later why we're doing an empty circle, because you're going to do multiple graphs on this same section. We're going to put an open circle, just like that. And then it says use the first and the last point. So the last point right here, you can see is 58%. I'm going to this last point, so I'm going to find 10 years. It's 58%. It's right about here. I'm going to put an open circle. And then this is going to be my graph. Oop. So over 10 years, it's going to depreciate that much. Okay? And so we need to figure out our slope. And if you remember, slope equals amount lost over the number of years. So the amount lost, how much did it lose? It went from 100 down to 58%. So I'm going to do 100 minus 58, and I'm going to get 42%. So it lost 42%. And how many years? Over 10 years. Remember, it lost. I need to make sure I put negative. So I'm going to divide those two, and I'm going to get negative 4.2. This is percent per year. So I'm going to go back to here. So remember, my equation should be y equals mx plus b. My m is the slope. So I'm going to start with y equals, my m is going to be negative 4.2. And my b is the y-intercept, starting at 100%. So I'm going to put in my equation, y equals negative 4.2 plus x plus 100. And so we're just going to graph. We've already done this. I've already graphed my plot. I've already graphed my points. So it says to graph it. And so after 10 years, I've already figured out it's going to be 58%. This is what I just did. This is what I found when I first was looking at here. After 10 years, it's going to be 58%. But 58%, I need to figure out what 58% is. So it says 58%. %, of the car. How much is the car worth? I'm buying it. How much is my car worth? So I'm buying it for $22,990. So I'm buying it for $22,900. So I'm going to turn my percent into a decimal, divided by 100, and I'm going to get 0.58 times 22,900. So 0.58 times 22,900. So that means my car is going to be worth $13,282. What did I say? I said 13,282. Make sure you put a $sign. And so I'm putting this number of years, so we're going to go back to my equation. My equation is right here. My x. So I have y equals negative 4.2. And instead of x, I'm going to leave a space, plus 100. And I'm going to put in 6.7 years. That's my equation. That's what I'm going to put in here. And then, so let's put my equation in, and it's going to be 71.86%. And I can look at my graph. After 7 years, it's right around 71%. You can see it's very, very close to that. My graph confirms that. So it's going to be, what I say, 71.86%. Make sure you're putting percent. And then how much money is that? That's the same thing that we just did. So I need to, instead of finding 58%, I need to find 71%. So 0.71 times the value of the car, and that tells me the car is worth $16,259. That's what you're going to do for linear appreciation. You're going to have this 3 different times. You're going to do this for all 3 of your cars. So for all 3 of the cars that you picked in part 1, you're going to do the same thing that I just did. All right? And then the second part of this is for exponential depreciation. So I'm going to go back to my graph, and I'm going to start here. And so I'm going to be using a triangle on my graph. This is why I asked you to use a circle, because now I'm going to use a triangle for a different. So on the same one, I'm going to put a triangle. It's going to start at the same point. So I can see my linear graph, and I'm going to see my exponential graph. And then my second point is going to be right here. After 1 year, it's going to be 86%. So after 1 year, I'm going to put an 86%, and I'm going to put a little triangle. That's going to be the percent. So it went from 100% down to 86%. It went down to 86%. So what's left? It dropped 14%. So it's negative 14% every single year. So that means every single year it's going to drop 14%. I forgot one detail. I didn't graph this equation. I need to graph this specific equation on my graph. And I need to use that with the square. So I'm going to go back to my graph. And I'm going to use a different color. So I'm starting at 100%. All the three shapes are right here. You can put a square. And then it goes to 86%. And then it goes, 2 goes to 83. Second year it goes to 83%. Year 3 it goes to 82%. Year 4 goes to 75%. Year 6, it goes to 72%. Year 7, it goes to 70%. Eight, it goes to 63%. 9, it goes to 62%. In year 10, it goes to 58%. I'm just going to make a graph. Okay, that was this step right here. I'm going to go back to what I was doing. So, I know it's going to drop 14%. So in year 1, it's going to subtract 14. And then it's going to be 86. I'm going to subtract 14. Oh no, sorry, I messed up. Times 0.86. I'm going to 86. I'm going to go times 0.86. Going to be 74. And I'm going to times 0.86. I'm going to get 64. Times 0.86. 55 times 0.86, 47. I'm going to do this for all 10 years. The idea is it's depreciating 14%, so we're just multiplying by 86% every year until we get all the way through. I'm just going to graph those points. You're going to graph these points on you using a triangle. So I'm going to go back to my graph. So if 1 year is 86, I've already done my triangle. I'm going to go back to my red triangle. And then the second year is going to be 74%. Second year is going to be 74. I'm going to put a triangle. My third year is going to be 64%. Which would be actually a triangle. It's a terrible triangle. fourth year is going to be 55%. Then my fifth year is going to be 47%. And so it should be making a curve. It should be leveling out. You're going to do this for all 10 years. And you're going to do that for each of the 3 cars. And then there's some thinking questions for each.